Since we have started off with the broadcast, let's start off with the session. Good morning. I, Abhinati Gupta, along with my co-host Anjali, bid a very warm welcome to all to this conference on empowering periods shaping menstrual policies for schools. The conference has been diligently curated by the Project Vedana team and Team Sarkari School in collaboration with Girl Up Party.
Amidst the ongoing discourse surrounding menstrual leaves in India, we seek to present to our vision and perspective to empower the young menstruators, take constructive steps towards period equity, and reduce the dropouts due to the periods. Through this panel, we aim to promote an insightful conversation and exchange various viewpoints to work towards enacting inclusive laws for creation of supportive infrastructure that promotes the menstrual health, ensures dignity, and enables equity to all the menstruating girls. It is a privilege to be welcoming you all to what we are hoping will be an invigorating discussion. I would now like to call upon my team member Aryashri to present a formal welcome address to our guests and viewers and talk about the organization.
Menstruation is not a problem. Poor menstrual hygiene is. Relating to the stigma surrounding menstruation, a lot of people do not get the basic support they deserve. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I would like to welcome you all to this session on Beyond the Basics Creating Supportive Infrastructure. I bid a very warm welcome to our mentors, our esteemed speakers for today, and my fellow teammates and viewers. I welcome you to this session. This panel seeks to explore ways to create a supportive infrastructure for menstruating girls and address the need for the integration of menstrual hygiene into school policies. To enrich our panel today and embark on this journey with a vision to frame menstrual policies for creating supportive infrastructure, we have with us Tanuja Harard, a project officer at Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, menstrual health educator, and a period fellow at Uninhibited. Jyotika Rimal, Advocacy Officer at Menstrual Health and Hygiene Management Partners Alliance, Nepal. Dr. Ajanthaa, a dentist turned development professional who has worked in the domain of menstrual hygiene, health awareness, and adolescent health. Bhumika Rawat, a certified AMOX trainer of sustainable menstrual health and hygiene and the founder of the campaign My Cup of Change. Krutika Wadhwani, a nutritionist and certified menstrual health educator. Aprajita Verma, a development professional with expertise in evidence based research, impact evaluation, policy development, and governance transformation. We are sure that this session will greatly advance the aim of creating supportive infrastructure for menstruation and ensure their dignity. We're looking forward to learn from you all today. I hope this discussion engages, inspires, and induces our viewers to act towards the betterment of girls and creating a supportive environment for them. Now, let me talk about the organization. Sarkari School is an initiative of WeCitizens Foundations. Since 2019, this platform has been known for recognizing and celebrating the unsung heroes who tirelessly contribute to the upliftment of government schools and education. These individuals deserve not only our appreciation but also our support and recognition to inspire others. They demonstrate that with self determination and hard work, anything is possible, even without substantial backing. Our primary objective is to change the negative perception surrounding government schools and create a supportive ecosystem where society can act as true friends of these institutions. We strive to engage the youth and encourage their involvement in developing the favorable ecosystem for government schools. In the last 4 years, we are able to engage with more than 3,000 plus youth across India and also had the privilege to work with more than 500 schools across India. At Sarkari School, we aspire to become a think tank by addressing and resolving issues in a constructive manner to bring in more discourse and discussion on crucial subjects. We generate innovative ideas and implement them to bring about revolutionary change. As we know that government schools are often stereotyped and subject to negative judgment, it often overshadows the achievements of government schools. Sarkari School seeks to alter this narrative by providing factual information by uplifting stories of success and hope relating to government schools. The goal of Sarkari School is therefore to facilitate constructive dialogues, ideas, and efforts among educators, policymakers, students, and teachers of various governments to drive effective positive change in society. Sarkari School has several ongoing projects such as Project Guria, Project Vedana, Project Kahani Khush, Project Sambal, and a committed policy advocacy and research team that is devoted to creating an empowered space for government school citizens by digital education and an archive of learning opportunities. The projects over the diverse areas of menstrual health and awareness, girl child education, and of course ensuring safety of girl students by various campaigns, seminars, and events. The ultimate mission is to offer comprehensive support to government schools, helping them unlock their full potential. The endeavor includes zealous social workers, dedicated educators, and motivated young students, all striving tirelessly to ensure that each child is granted a fair and impartial education. Inspired by this vision, the policy advocacy and research team of WeCitizen Foundation unites enthusiastic advocates of policy and aspiring researchers aiming to make a positive impact. Their strategy revolves around conducting research on a variety of education related topics in India, establishing an informational platform that serves teachers, government officials, policymakers, and other stakeholders. Join us to work for all these courses in any possible way. I would now like to hand it over to Abhiniti.
Thank you, Arishri, for introducing the guests and giving us insights into the broader visions, aims, and work of the organization. Now, I would like to invite Ajinkya to tell us more about the session. There must be some issues regarding the connectivity. That's fine, that's not an issue. I will just introduce about our session. Uh, Empowerment is the multidimensional social process that helps people gain control over their own lives. These five words define our thoughts of empowerment. Today, discourse regarding women's social, educational, economic, and psychological empowerment is in the limelight. However, these discursive debates subjugate menstrual health and policies. Menstrual issues remain untouched in the paradigm of taboos and stereotypes. Policies and education around menstruation become even more important on the spectrum, but the barricades of shame created around menstruation talks have weakened our ability to think and act. Menstrual health and hygiene is challenged by period poverty, repercussions on education, dignity in professional settings, social insensitivity, and silence that transcends its all. It is in this spirit of promoting debate, deliberation, and discussion regarding policy challenges that relegate the cruciality issues surrounding periods, we have organized a virtual national conference on empowering periods, shaping menstrual policies for schools. The overarching theme for the conference is keeping schools as focal points to educate, support, and empower folks regarding menstruation and menstrual policies. We believe that collaborative steps can help us overcome the existing hindrances and empower young menstruators. Do join us in our endeavor to brainstorm, learn, and grow. Over to you, Anjali.
Thank you, Abhiniti. So, menstruation being a vital part of every girl's life, the menstrual health and hygiene becomes essential for the well being and empowerment of adults and girls. The lack of supportive infrastructure in school often leads to discomfort, stigma, and barriers to education. Therefore, in today's panel discussion, our focus is to create a supportive environment for girls and promote their well being and empower them to manage their periods with confidence and dignity.
Our respected panelists have been working for years with the motive of spreading menstrual awareness and changing the lives of thousands of menstruating girls. will share with us the importance of infrastructure and facilities necessary to support menstrual hygiene, providing accurate information for the integration of menstrual policies in schools, and also focus on the well being and ensuring the dignity of girls. Now that we have developed a good understanding of the overarching themes and aims of the panel, let us hear from our speakers their dynamic perspectives regarding the same.
So, first speaker for the panel is Tanuja, who is a project officer of the Prisons Reform Program, and she is working on menstrual hygiene management in women prisons. Having done her master's in gender, culture, and development studies, she was a part of the period fellowship and initiative of Uninhibited, creating safe spaces to destigmatize menstrual, sexual, and reproductive health. She has also worked with women and girls in communities and schools in tribal district in the state of Maharashtra. We now request you to address the gathering, ma'am.
Thank you, Anjali. Um, Hello, everyone. I would like to thank the organizers of the conference, Sarkari School, for giving me this opportunity. Menstrual hygiene management refers to the ability of women and girls to manage their menstrual cycle safely and confidently while maintaining their dignity. In our society, menstruation often carries stigma, stress, and embarrassment, which creates barriers for girls and women to effectively manage their menstrual cycles in a safe and healthy environment. Menstruation is a crucial aspect of every girl's life, and prioritizing menstrual health and hygiene is essential for the well being and empowerment of adolescent girls. Therefore, it is important to ensure that schools provide a supportive and hygiene friendly environment. Are schools in India menstrual friendly? And the answer is no. The schools in India are not menstrual friendly. Many schools fail to meet the safety, hygiene, and sanitation needs of girls, preventing them from feeling safe, dignified, and ready to learn in their school environment. This lack of support can contribute to school absenteeism, dropouts, and other negative consequences. Insufficient infrastructure leads to poor menstrual hygiene practices, which can result in various health issues, including infections, rashes, and long term complications. I have worked in the Palghar district of Maharashtra, focusing on menstrual and sexual reproductive health in schools and communities. This district is predominantly inhabited by tribal communities like Warli, Koli, Konkana, and Katkari. Moreover, being an informed insider as I was born and brought up in this district, I have a better understanding of the region and the menstrual and reproductive health issues faced by women there. My work primarily involved residential schools where I actively engaged with over 300 girls. I conducted surveys, interviews, and sessions on menstrual health and hygiene to raise awareness and provide support to them. The specific area or location where I was assigned to work is one of the marginalized blocks within the Palghar district. The majority of tribal families in this region belong to below poverty line groups. Moreover, it is a hilly region which further contributes to the scarcity of employment opportunities. As a result, people migrate to other parts of the state throughout the year for employment opportunities. As a result, there are many cases where parents leave their children in school. Uh, these students are admitted to schools from the first standard and live away from their parents from a very young age. Given these circumstances, it is crucial for schools to provide a friendly environment for students with adequate basic facilities. Moreover, a supportive environment should be created for girls to effectively manage their menstrual needs, including emotional support. During my visits to many schools, I observed that Some of them had basic facilities, including separate bathrooms or toilets for girls. However, it is important to note that merely having separate toilet is not sufficient. Factors such as privacy, cleanliness, safety, and the availability of water, soap, and dustbins are equally crucial. I have come across schools where boys do not have proper bathrooms or toilet facilities, which is a concern. I believe that boys should also have access to these facilities. According to the recommendations by the World Health Organization, there should be one toilet for every 25 girls, one toilet for female staff, one toilet and one urinal for every 50 boys, and one toilet and one urinal for male staff. These guidelines aim to ensure adequate sanitation facilities for everyone within the school environment. In a region like Palghar, availability of free sanitary pads in schools having easy access to these products is crucial. Girls should feel comfortable asking teachers for pads whenever they need them. Several countries, such as Scotland, New Zealand, and South Africa, have taken steps to provide free sanitary napkins to schoolgirls. It is worth noting that providing free sanitary pads is not enough. It is equally important to have safe disposal facilities and promote sustainable menstrual products. One option is to provide training to girls on making reusable pads. In Palghar, I found that girls were willing to learn how to make pads, and a few schools even had tailoring machines. This could be incorporated as an extracurricular activity, allowing those interested to be a part of the process. By promoting the production and use of reusable pads, we can address both the accessibility and sustainability aspect of menstrual hygiene. Moreover, the disposal of menstrual waste was a significant challenge in the region where I was working. In schools and communities, waste segregation was not practiced, and there was no proper waste collection system by the government or panchayat. Menstrual waste, including used sanitary pads, was often thrown on landfills into water bodies or burned. Such practices can lead to spread of diseases. Although a few schools had incinerators provided by NGOs, they were not in working condition. Again, merely providing these facilities is not enough. It is important to educate people on how to use them correctly and ensure their maintenance. Addressing the issue of proper menstrual waste management requires a comprehensive approach that involves creating awareness about the importance of safe disposal, advocating for waste segregation practices, and collaborating with relevant stakeholders to establish an effective waste collection and disposal system. Once again, thank you everyone for listening to me. Over to you, Anjali.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would now like ask Abhiniti to ask questions or start the discussion.
Thank you, Tanuja ji, and I definitely agree on the fact that we need to introduce sustainable methods, especially in rural areas, because sometimes it's very difficult for the government to actually provide pads in the long run on a regular basis. So, providing or teaching or imparting knowledge about reusable and sustainable menstrual solutions might just be the right solution ahead. Moving on to our next speaker, it is none other than Ms. Jyotika Rimal, who works as an advocacy officer at Menstrual Health and Hygiene Management Partners Alliance, Nepal. Her interest lies in the intersection of gender and global health. Please share your words of wisdom.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for making me a panelist in this panel discussion. So I've made a small PowerPoint. Let me just. Okay, this one, yeah. Give me a minute, okay? I'm just. Okay. So please let me know if my screen is visible.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, your screen is visible.
yeah, so do you see the PowerPoint presentation right now?
Not the PowerPoint presentation, we see your Gmail.
Okay, okay, now I get it. Okay, yeah, I think now.
I think we're having some disturbance from your end, sound disturbance.
Oh, yeah, there's some construction going on, so um, you give me a minute, I'll just try and
Yeah,
something.
please do so. Um, okay, we'll just wait for her. Let's do one thing, Anjali. Let's move on to the next speaker. We'll just call Jyotika ma'am back again.
Okay, I'll do that. So moving on to the next speaker, we'll give some time to Jyotika ma'am. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ajanthaa T, a dentist and development professional with 5 years.
Anjali ma'am is back.
Okay, I'm so sorry, ma'am. You have to wait for a minute. We'll continue with Jyotika ma'am first.
Uh,
Ma'am, are you ready?
sure, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so give me a minute, I'll just um, so hello everyone. I'm so sorry for the disturbances. Basically, I'm Jyotika, and I've been working with the MHM Partners Alliance that is in Nepal, for the last 2 years. Um, when Anjali reached out to me, it was like because my area of expertise is not infrastructure, but I did have some ideas. So this was very interesting. So once again, thank you so much. So when we talk about creating supportive infrastructures, what I feel supportive infrastructure actually is, it's not just creating buildings and finishing off with that, because I've seen many examples of how our partners and members, they talk about how the buildings are created, but then like the aftermath is not seen. I mean, like you really have to have a sustainable thing going on. So maybe supportive infrastructure is something that can provide long-term sustainable impact to societies, like structures that actually support persons with disabilities. Because even in the MHS sector, we kind of always miss out on the persons with disabilities. And of course, there's always images friendly toilets with wash facilities, which is mostly missing in rural areas. Even in Nepal, it's the whole scenario of wash sector and building supportive infrastructures is kind of similar in both Nepal and India, and that's what I feel. So why do we need supportive infrastructure? Mainly when we talk about images, for long-term sustainability. Like when I said, when people, or organizations, they just create buildings and then they forget about it, and there's lack of sustainability, and because, and then this actually I mean, there's an impact on the students, especially girl students. So I think long-term sustainability is very important, and I think supportive infrastructure structure really gives that. And then we have positive impact on education, of course, because if we have supportive infrastructures, girls and women, they would be willing to go to schools and they would want to learn. And then, of course, so that women and girls, they do not need to go home to change sanitary pads. This happens a lot in rural Nepal, where there is low resource settings, and like they have toilets, but the toilets are not separate. And then, like, there's also a matter of shame, of dignity, and all these sorts of things. And because menstruation is such a taboo, girls, they want to rush home, and like they don't want to come back for the remaining part of the day to learn things from school. Of course, we need supportive infrastructure, because we have to make sure that menstrual health management is not compromised at any level. um, so how do we support infrastructures, in order to help in MHH? I think, how do supportive infrastructures help? I guess well-equipped infrastructures help in maintaining the overall attendance of menstruators in schools. Like I said before, girls, when we have separate toilets, when we have good wash facilities, and when we have um, teachers who understand menstrual health, this will actually help girls stay in school. And disability friendly infrastructures help in inclusiveness. Like I said before, disability sector in the menstrual health overall sector is actually missing even in Nepal. So we kind of lack this area. So I believe, like, if there are structures that are disability friendly, then it will help in inclusiveness. And supportive infrastructures actually will help as an will act as a barrier to cultural and social stigmas and social settings that discourage menstruators from going to schools, or these kinds of things happen in rural areas. In the far west, there is a tradition called chhaupadi, where women have to live in a small room that's like a cowshed for 4 days. So we can't just think about facilities when we talk about supportive infrastructures. We have to make sure that those girls, the first step is to make sure that those girls are safe. Because there are so much of news about how some girls, when they live in chaupadi shades, cow shades, they have died. So we have to really keep in mind all these things. So I think basically, challenges on supportive infrastructures are gender friendly and gender neutral toilets are often not available. And then when we look at under resource settings and low resource settings, of course, shortages of funds, and one project comes and then it finishes and then it goes, and then that place is never looked back again. So I'm guessing long term impact evaluation is equally needed. So I think these are some of the challenges that we have. When we talk about who should work for supportive infrastructure, we just can't have one party doing things and then not including other people. So I'm guessing community infrastructure experts, government and INGOs and NGOs and researchers, they should all come together, and then they should all, understand what the perspective is, or whenever they want to build a supportive infrastructure, they should actually try and come together and understand what is happening at the local level, at the grassroots level, and they can actually help with that. So basically, having said that, infrastructure, I believe that infrastructure alone cannot sustain menstrual health and hygiene. Other factors should definitely be included. I'm just showing you this example of an INGO called Good Neighbors International that works in various districts in Nepal. This is they have made an MHM corner. It's basically a room with, as you can see, there are facilities, there are beds, and then there's a teacher who describes things, and there are posters and things. So there are organizations that have been trying to have supportive infrastructures, but when I look at the overall things, I believe that there's still so much going on, and we still have a lot to do from our end. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I truly feel bad to hear that there is still chopadi system prevalent in Nepal, where women still have to leave. When they get their periods, they are treated as untouchables. So it is not fair. Like there are many places in India, there are many tribal places in India where this practice is still going on, and people do not have that much awareness in villages. And also, I agree that only infrastructure cannot help the menstrual hygiene management. We need many more factors. We need proper funding for that. We need proper policies for that. I do agree, and that was very insightful. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like Ajanta to. Okay. So now I would like to call our next guest, Dr. Ajanthaa, a dentist and development professional with 5 years of clinical experience and 4 years of development sector experience. Currently, she is a Master's Scholar of Public Health with Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai. Previously, she was a Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow for over 20 months with the IIM Ranchi under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, where she worked on adolescent health education and Beat to Well projects under Sankalp. She has also worked with an NGO as a project coordinator to help differently health individuals. Besides volunteering with several other NGOs in the domain of menstrual hygiene, health awareness, and adolescent health, will now request Ajanta ma'am to come up with her points.
Very good afternoon, everyone, and I really thank the Sakari schools for inviting me. And previously, I think Tanuja and Jyotika, they have covered almost all the aspects. But I would like to draw on my own experience for some additions and also the aspect with respect to persons with disabilities. Right. So, in my previous role as a Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow, there was one instance where I visited a tribal village. It mostly consisted of those people who were relocated from a core forest area for the environmental reasons. So it was a working day, and I visited this village, and of course, you know how the tribal villages are. They were very resistant to talk to us, the outsiders. So, but there was one family which was willing to interact, and I was very happy with interacting with them. And I heard some noises inside. So this was a government built house, and they have extended it with a thatch roof. And I heard some noises inside the thatch roof, and I wanted to see what is in there. Then the mother in the house, she was like, "No, no, don't go inside." I was like, "Why?" Inside there is my daughter who's menstruating. She's impure. You shouldn't go inside. Then I told her, no, no, I'm also menstruating, let me go inside. Then she was like, okay. I went inside, and her daughter, who's probably at the age of 12 or 13, she was visually impaired. She was sitting there with her food plate there. She was not able to eat, and all her food was strewn around the plate. So basically, she was isolated from the family. And I also got to know that she was not allowed to use the toilet that was built by the government for the house. So she was forced to use the toilet. She was forced to use a public space for her daily needs. So that is the area which is prone for man-animal conflict, and she was forced to go outside despite her disability. Was forced to go outside for her during the menstrual times. So this is the scenario that is prevalent in most of the villages still now in India. So when I asked about if she is going to schools or anything, she had dropped out because of her disability and her inability to manage her menstrual cycles. So this is an issue which needs to be addressed. So the moment we think about disability, most of the people think about a locomotor disability, the inability to walk. What is largely ignored is the visual impairment or the hearing loss. All these things are completely ignored. So in her case, this disability friendliness was not there in the school that she was attending to. So she had to drop out. So one of the pressing challenge faced by a visually impaired woman or an adolescent girl is that she will not be able to manage a period. She will not be able to take care. She will not be able to know if she has cleaned herself enough. And another aspect is the most of the awareness campaigns are given out through flyers or the visual aids. She was not able to look at the visual aid and to know she didn't. She was not able to get the benefits of an awareness campaign that is usually run, right? So these are the lacunae areas with respect to menstrual hygiene for the persons with disability. This is one area that needs to be addressed with respect to at the school level, so that the inequality with respect to education and the socio-economic inequality or the divide between the male and the female is bridged. So this is one area that needs to be focused, and this is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajanthaa for your enlightening, and definitely, I mean, this is like a very sad reality that we, need to accept, irrespective of the fact that, you know, we all say that there are a lot of changes that are prevalent in the country, yet we see instances like this. I personally feel that when things like this happen, a very important aspect is the community that needs to come and support in these times to actually curb all of these problems. But then again, when the society is filled with taboos, there is like it just drags the person down and it does not actually help them. So they these when you think about these instances, when you see instances like these happening, they're very thought provoking. Moving on to our next panelist for the session, we have Bhumika Rawat, who is a certified MOOCs trainer of sustainable menstrual health and hygiene and the founder of the campaign My Cup of Change. She's a vocal advocate for sustainable menstruation practices and menstrual cups. Through her workshop, she has engaged with over 300 menstruators physically and virtually, supported by organizations such as HPCL, IOCL, GenPact, TRIF, Grameen Shiksha Kendra, and NSS groups of colleges. Bhumika ji's efforts in spreading hygiene practices among women were recognized when she received the Business Ranker's Women Achievers Award in 2020. Her dedication to menstrual health continues to make a positive impact in the community. Please share your insights on today's topic, Bhumika ji. You're on mute. Bhumika ji, you're on mute.
Yeah, is it, am I audible?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
audible and visible.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion. And my fellow speakers have already covered a lot of points. So I would simply just talk about the sustainability and the infrastructure of the school, which actually creating not much helpful environment for having the sustainable products or even the regular products in the school. So so while working with the government schools and conducting workshops there, the major thing which I saw is like if when we it's basically the two eras, the era before the Padman movie and the era after the Padman movie. Okay, so before the era of Padman movie, there was very lack of infrastructure. The supply of the sanitary pads were not there, though in the policies under that national mission health, the policy says that every school or through the gram panchayat, the asha workers, there is a mandatory distribution of sanitary pads to the especially to the adults and girls, but it was not there. Lack of vending machines, lack of insulators. But when this Padman movie came, there was a lot of awareness happened and a disruption happened in this space. But after that, uh, there was so many donors in the market who wants to just become the face that we are promoting this cause and everything. So most of the places got a lot of government schools got vending machines, insulator machines, and the supply of very very bad quality sanitary pads. Okay, so if you see in the government schools, the the girls toilet, if you just simply just go to there, and you will find that there is an open lobby which is not covered at all, and lot of all these vending machines, all these incinerators machines were installed there, because there was no guideline that can define that where are you supposed to put these machines, these specific machines. Okay, if the lobby is open, you see that there is rain happens. Okay, there sometimes storms happen. So obviously when the machines are in open, these machines will not even operate for more than 1 or 2 months, right? After that, nothing is there. It's just like the propaganda of making things visible, that we have done this, we have distributed this. All of a sudden the government and all these philanthropists uh, became active and started making just as a point that we are doing something to it, we are trying to address it. But nobody was thinking that after giving certain things just to do demonstration, what will happen after 2 months, 3 months, right? There was no conversation about the sustainability when it comes for the infrastructure, providing facilities of the product, of the machines, even when they talk about in the policies that there is an essential disposal manner, which is eco-friendly as well. So it just all in the books and everything, but nothing is on ground. So after having lot of conversation, when only was doing simple workshops, simple awareness workshops, the lack of usage of product was there. Okay, then the less availability of product was there. Then I started with this concept of like yes, there has to be a product which can help them for more months, right? So there comes this cloth pad and the menstrual cup. I am a user of menstrual cup from like past 5 years, and I absolutely feel the freedom of doing anything. So and it's also eco-friendly and also cost friendly, which goes for 7 to 10 years. But the challenge is that when you go there, in the communities where even they don't know about their own body, they don't have some basic awareness on simple hygiene, how to use the product, the product as well, pad itself. So there the challenge was like a lot of shyness among the people. Even when you go to the school administration, the school principal, then telling them about the product, the cloth pad, and also the menstrual cup, there was a lot of apprehension that, oh no, we cannot allow you to discuss on these products and all this. So this is something was the challenge in the starting, which is still there at a lot of places where the authorities are not even educated about the basic things of MHM. So yeah, these were the challenges that I faced and I'm still facing. The issues of virginity as a question, that if we use this product, our virginity will be at stake. So these are some social norms which are there. Then also, so there is also one of the concern which always came up, like that lot of schools and the administrators, all these people sitting in the government offices and also the philanthropists, they have only the main agenda of like how can we reach out to number of people, in like they wanted to distribute, like the number should be big, right? It's still, even if you see that the government are making the policies around how much number of budget, number of sanitary pads are distributed, how many girls they have distributed the pad, they will supply for 1 month. But what, for the next month, 2 months, the funds are limited. But the girl will always menstruate for like at least for 30 to 35 years in her lifespan. Then then what we will do? So these kind of the conversations are still not happening. That we all want to make awareness, but we are not thinking of beyond like 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months. We have to think beyond it. And the major thing which I feel is that we need to actually speak to the basically to more engage more of these authority people, to explain them that what is the need, because to have an engagement with the community or with the school students, it is important that you need to have a constant communication with them till you create a demonstration. But go to the community, even in the adverse situation, administration should be in the confidence. If they are not in confidence, then reaching out to the communities again and again is a lot of hustle sometimes, because if something goes wrong in the community, then if the authority is not on your side, then you might end up in a problem, right? So it's more important on to educate the authorities. And according to my experience, after engaging with more than 350 or 400 menstruators in the rural India and in the urban India, uh, I feel is the constant touch is very very important when they want to switch, right? There are a lot of apprehension, there will be a lot of questions. Okay, but to address to address all those questions, it is very important to have that constant touch with them. Yeah, so this is what from my side. And thank you
Thank you
for the
so much,
patience
Bhumika
listening.
ji. And I definitely agree about the fact that when we are using, like, even like if we talk about menstrual cups, people in the urban areas are still apprehensive about using them. So I mean, I can just understand how difficult it must have been, to go into communities where people do not know about their bodies, they do not use sanitary napkins, and to introduce the concept of menstrual cups there, because they're not responding well towards sanitary napkins. So how well they would respond to something that is, actually not, that is intrusive to the human body. So yeah, the that is a very important aspect that needs to be talked about. Moving on to our next speaker, we have Krutika Wadhwani ji, who is a certified menstrual health educator, a graduate of Chandrapali Batch 2.0 by Paddling Foundation. She is a dedicated nutrition professional, currently working as a public health nutritionist in a social impact organization, United Way, Mumbai. With a knack for conducting engaging and informative public speaking sessions, Kritika ji has successfully delivered numerous educational workshops on menstrual health and hygiene and nutrition, along with wellness, to diverse audiences. We welcome you, Kritika ji. Please address the gathering.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I would really like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the amazing teams at Sarkari School and Wadhwani for organizing this conference, and I'm truly honored to for the invitation to be a part of this discussion alongside all these wonderful change makers that I'm hearing today. Um, so I'd like to start off by just asking you a simple question. Think about it, okay? So, do you remember what you were like when you were 14 years old? Which class were you in? Which were your favorite subjects? Well, I was in ninth standard, and my favorite subjects were English and science, particularly biology. The other day, I met a 14-year-old girl who reminded me that life can be vastly different for some people. She was just like we were when we were 14 years old. However, there was one striking big difference. She was pregnant. Isn't it such a sad reality to witness a literal child carrying another child in her barely developed uterus? So, this encounter took place in Karjat, Raigad district, a place merely 2 to 3 hours away from the big metropolitan Mumbai, where I visited for some field work. Now, you must be wondering what this experience has to do with the topic at hand, which is creating supportive infrastructure for menstruation in schools, but it is related. This serves as a reminder that the lack of proper infrastructure and access to menstrual health support not only affects the immediate needs of girls, but also can lead to far reaching consequences, such as early pregnancies and the complete disruption of their education. And this then perpetuates the cycle of poverty and gender inequality. Now, this is not a one off incident, and neither is my experience unique. Anyone who has worked in rural and tribal regions of India must have had similar encounters. It's because we know the stats. In India, it has been estimated that 1 in 5 girls drop out of school after they get their periods. A UNICEF study stated that a whooping 71% of adolescent girls remain unaware of menstruation until they get their very first period. And like girls' right to education is lost because of the inadequate supportive infrastructure in schools. Whenever I've spoken to schoolgirls about this issue, they come forward to express their concerns, and almost all of them are wash related issues. The girls indicate that they feel super awkward to use toilet facilities as they have a lack of soap, clean water, privacy, no sanitary products. And these challenges still exist in every part of India, right from the capital to small cities to rural regions. Just a few months ago, I visited a government school in rural Nasik to conduct a training of teachers, and I dealt with the very same challenge myself in the washrooms. No soap, zero water, absolute zero water, no cleanliness, no safety, inadequate privacy. And the fact is that these are solvable challenges. Now, I want you all to imagine a different scenario where girls are walking confidently into well maintained, clean toilets. Sanitary products are readily available. There's no fear of leakage. There are safe disposal facilities, eradicating any shame or health risks due to improper waste management. These things can literally also help build up their self esteem levels. That's why we must never underestimate the impact of infrastructural elements. So many studies confirm that what we already know, that supportive infrastructure is not an abstract concept, it has far reaching benefits. To summarize, it leads to increased school attendance, academic performance, reduced absenteeism and dropout rates, and enhanced overall empowerment and well being of girls. So, ideally, no girl should be left behind due to the lack of these basic facilities, and this is something that can be done. Once the big shots realize the importance of this, we can build supportive infrastructure relatively quite rapidly. Uh, Taboos and stigma need much more time to break as compared to the time it takes for supportive infra to make. So I will just talk about some key things to focus upon if we want to build supportive infra for menstruation in schools. First is clean and separate toilets. Second, access to sanitary products, safe disposal facilities. There could be dedicated disposal bins, incinerators, and adding comprehensive menstrual education into the school curriculum. But not just these, there's more things like provision of period leaves or breaks, access to pain relief medication. This is oftentimes forgotten in the conversations, male engagement and education, which a lot of us have spoken about today, accessibility and inclusivity. I really loved the point of my fellow speaker. So including those with disabilities or special needs is also important, and most importantly, gathering the feedback from girls, parents, and teachers to ensure that the infrastructure meets their needs and identifies any gaps or areas for improvement. So I will talk about some key actionable and concrete takeaways for our viewers as well, about like what could we do as normal individuals functioning in society. So as we know, menstrual hygiene is a multi-sectoral issue that requires an integrated action from the different departments of the government: the Department of Education, Department of Health, Women and Child Development, and Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Development. So governments have that power and authority, and they can create a mass level impact. So, what we need to do is provide supportive supervision to the local level government machineries to ensure that they actually act on the existing policies so that girls can actually benefit. In the National Rural Health Mission, menstrual hygiene promotion is formally included as a key responsibility of the ASHA workers. And in 2014, the government launched the National Adolescent Health Program, which is Rashtriya Kishore Swasth Karyakaram, which has clear guidelines for providing education, awareness, and support for better MHM using the peer education model. We need to ensure that these policies are acted upon. Second major tip would be to focus on the teachers. Training of trainers, training of teachers could be really beneficial. All teachers, male and female, need to be super sensitized first. And we know that their heart is generally in the right place, so that can really help. Third could be demanding budget support for menstrual hygiene because, of course, without money and intent, nothing works. Enhancing girls' own life skills and knowledge about reproductive and menstrual health is important. And also, I have observed that the display of MHM messages through IC materials is generally routinely not practiced in a lot of schools, even though Ministry of Education does mandate that. But this could really help. I've seen this in real time. So these last 4 points could be acted upon by like you and I as well and all the viewers. So adolescents are actually accounting for a quarter of India's population, and I hope we can do justice to them. To all in the audience, we don't have to change the world all at once. I believe we can try to improve the life of one and then the next one and so on. We could partner with local organizations, engage with policymakers, support grassroots initiatives, and all of this will help us make tangible differences. So, with that, I would like to end my talk. Thank you again to the organizers, and I really hope for continued dialogue and progress in this menstrual health field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very insightful. And I do agree that the supportive provision should be provided to the local government. And even we as a citizen should participate in that. You know, sometimes even the citizens are against this. There are male who are against this. So I truly believe that as a male gender, we should participate in this. Also, in schools, I feel that you know we need separate toilets and everything for school. But sometimes separate toilets are there, but there is no facilities of the disposable system. So girls find it very difficult for that. So I really think that it should be done and it should be made on the ground level. Thank you. So now I would like to invite our last panelist, Ms. Aprajita Verma. She is a development professional with expertise in evidence-based research, impact evaluation, policy development, and governance transformation. She currently works at World Research Institute on Electric Mobility and has previously served as the Program Officer at Accountability Initiative Center for Policy Research. I request you to share your views on today's topic.
Thank you so much, Anjali. Thank you for inviting me to the panel. I'm very delighted to be here and to speak amongst so many esteemed personalities. So, I think my peers here have done a fantastic job at highlighting the gaps and needed provisions in the infrastructure. So, I use my time to highlight the policy landscape around menstrual hygiene in India. So, the discourse on menstruation and menstrual hygiene did not always enjoy the same attention as it does today. In fact, if we look at the period between 1990 to 2000, it was referred to as a wall of silence, meaning during this period, menstrual hygiene was not even recognized as an issue. So it was only with the National Health Mission in 2011 that menstrual hygiene was tagged as a health issue and it gained its rightful place in the health discourse in the country. So before I go on to describe what are the current schemes in this sector, I would like to recite a small incident that I have seen firsthand. So I think it was during 2018. I was in a field immersion program. I was working in East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh, and I happened to stay at ITDA Center. So ITDAs are integrated tribal development agencies. Uh, these agencies also have residential hostels for tribal students to study. So these are usually located in an urban area, and these residential schools offer accommodation for both men and women, for both students. So these are students pursuing education. These could also be women pursuing vocational courses and maybe women undergraduate pursuing undergraduate courses. So all these ITDA hostels have provision of free sanitary napkins. We know that there are statewide schemes approximately in every state that have provision for subsidized napkins. So what was missing here is that even though these women had unlimited supply of free napkins, there were no disposal mechanisms. So what happens because of that? So since I was staying at the hostel as a researcher, I was also using the same washroom as the women students were using. So in that washroom, we noticed that the menstrual products were being disposed incorrectly, not just incorrectly, in a very hazardous manner. Since there was no dustbin, there was no covered dustbin specifically. The products were being disposed inside the toilets. They were being disposed in any corner of the washroom. And the problem here is that nobody sees it as a problem. So there are dustbins on the campus, but these dustbins are being used to dispose food waste. So the girls feel shame in disposing their menstrual products in the same dustbin, which is placed in the common area. And the dustbin that's placed in the women's washroom is very small. It cannot hold the amount of menstrual product that needs to be disposed on a daily or a weekly basis, and these dustbins are not being cleaned. They're not being cleaned on a weekly basis also. That was my understanding. I stayed there for 4 5 days. So even though I was only there for 4 5 days, I could understand that this is a severe issue, and this would not only lead to cases of infection and body inflammation, but in general, it creates an environment where they're not learning about disposal, and nobody in the institution is aware about proper disposal techniques. So that's just one example of how what a single focus in policy can do. So I'll just give you an example of what are the other schemes in India. So every state has a scheme on pad disposal. So Maharashtra has a Smita Yojana, Rajasthan has Udan, Andhra Pradesh has Swechha, Kerala has Shri Pad, Odisha has Khushi, and so on. But all these, the primary focus of all these schemes remains on distribution of sanitary napkin, and they hardly focus on any other aspect. So, and I'll just give you one more example of a central level scheme. Yeah. So in 2018, not far back, the central government, in association with Department of Pharmaceuticals, launched the Jan Aushadhi Suvidha sanitary napkin, which is a biodegradable sanitary napkin, and it was priced at 2.5 rupees per pad and later subsidized to 1 rupee. And these pads were supposed to be distributed by the Jan Aushadhi cage. We have over 6,000 Jan Aushadhi cages in the country. So you can imagine that the scale of distribution would be immense, and it should be accessible to all, right? Adolescent as well as women. So the motto of the scheme is definitely plausible, but the scheme later, immediately, I think within 6 months, faced backlash for its poor implementation, inadequate advertising, and irregular supply of material. So I think it was launched towards the end of 2018, and in January 2019 itself, there were accusations of demand exceeding the supply in many states. So that's just one reality of how the government schemes run in reality versus on paper. I'll give you another example. So Maharashtra government had launched the Asmita scheme, which also provides low-cost sanitary napkins to school-going girls. So they ran the scheme. They launched the scheme without a pre-run pilot test, and later it was found that the pads that they were distributing were too small. They had low absorbing capacity, and they would, in fact, let's say, if a girl is using that pad, it would actually hinder her from pursuing educational activities or any other routine activities during her day. So, and this is another example of a state-run program, but there are other state-run programs in India where the sanitary napkins were found to be of low quality. So, so the problem is not just with the implementation of the policy, but also with how the policy has been imagined. Of how we are thinking of implementing a policy without running a pilot, without having consultations with industry experts or users of menstrual pads who can certify that, okay, this is a comfortable product to be using. So I think the focus on just handing out products, whether it is sanitary napkins, or 5 years later it could be menstrual cups even. So I think the focus on handing out products is not a very good public policy goal. We have to adopt a life cycle approach to this issue and understand that not just behavior and taboos, but also the quality of the product, the disposal of the product, and whether the women are empowered themselves to choose which menstrual absorbent they want to use is important. So I think I'll just conclude my discussion here, and yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Aprajita ji. And I totally agree about the fact that you state that at some point there were complaints that the demand was more than the supply, irrespective of the fact that the demand is how the supply should be in this particular term, because they are the ones who are helping out, helping out the girls through government schemes. So this just shows the under evaluation of the government while doing research. And I totally agree on the fact that pilot projects should definitely be run in this particular segment when we talk about menstrual health and hygiene, to ensure that proper implementation of government schemes are being done throughout pan India once they have run those projects. So with the end of our final address, I now open the floor for discussion, And I do have a question in general, which any of you can answer. Since a lot of you talked about, that schools lack infrastructure. So I think that three main A's for for this particular menstrual health and hygiene should be awareness, affordability, and accessibility. But when we talk about school infrastructure, we realize that school infrastructure does not meet the expectations like Ajanthaa ji, Bhumika ji, Krutika ji, Aprajita ji mentioned in their speeches, that it does not meet the expectations. So do you think that government should set, standards and should conduct a menstrual infrastructure check, along with the check that they do on a regular basis, because end of the day they are grading schools. So do you think this should also be a parameter that should be considered under this check? Anybody can start. Let's start with Aprajita ji.
I'll take the
Ajantha ji,
question.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is that's a very valid question because most of these schools they do not have the basic infrastructure like many of the panelists pointed out. The water facilities are not there. The disability access facilities are not there. There are so many lacunae. But from the government's point of view, it's great that they have focused on the distribution of pads, but that needs to be expanded, and the funding also needs to be expanded also to include these women friendly washrooms where the facilities for washing not just the water I'm talking about, also the feminine products. So the soap could be provided where a woman can wash herself during the menstruation period, right? So the facilities and the funding needs to be focused, so focused on these areas as well to make it more inclusive, the education to be made more inclusive.
I would like uh, add one point here. It's like there are sometimes there are good fundings as well to the schools and to the places, to the common public spaces, and with the government as well. But sometimes it is the community which actually disrupt it. It's like there are taps in the washrooms, right? Or to the uh, water booth and all, but there is so much of need, and there are a lot of children who are mischievous. They actually remove all these taps. Then there are a lot of things which are like made of iron, which can help these communities to get money. So it's just not, I think, just making the guidelines for the schools to have this and this and this, but it is also how to control the community and how to make them understand that make them also a stakeholder, that school is something, is a place where these basic facilities are at least available, should be available, so that uh, you as student, your children can have better facilities and can have more hygiene. So I believe it is, though there are committees, but still their participation, the community participation in the school is very important. It is also, it is the you know it is the responsibility of the school authority to engage them and also to educate them.
I want to add one point here. Uh, as the facilities are there, like toilets, bathrooms, etc. So there should be pictures, signs, instructions on how to use it, and how to make like good use of it. So then it might be good for students to understand, and they will know that we have to do such like this and that. So they will be like more willing to do that than the distractions here. So I think like this should be included, uh, and they will be feel responsible, like because like every time they go to like inside the bathrooms or like outside, like there should be like the washing area, so they will see, yeah, with the pictures and with the instructions that like we have to follow certain things, so like they might be mindful towards that.
That was
Yeah,
so yeah.
I'll just
That
highlight
was
two
very
points.
good. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so just 2 points I want to highlight here. That if we want to look at how certain policies have been implemented on ground, there is a dearth of data in this sector, especially. So there are only studies about what is the level of awareness amongst girls with respect to menstrual hygiene, and then there's data on sanitation facilities in the schools. This data is specific to how many toilets were constructed, how many toilets are functional. You'll find this in NFHS. But we do not have any data on how the IEC material has been distributed, whether the IEC material related to menstrual hygiene awareness has been put in places where students are able to read it, where parents are able to read it, where other stakeholders are able to read it, interact with it, or have conversations. That kind of data is not available. Okay, we do not have any data on whether teachers have been sensitized, whether they have been given any training, or is there any knowledge assessment on their awareness of menstrual hygiene management. Absolutely not. But when it comes to waste management, again, no data. So I think when we look at how the government's system functions, we have to also push for these data points to be included in data sets, so that not just researchers and policymakers, but also advocates like you and me can also push for change by citing data. So the most effective way to push for change is what I've learned in my short professional career is to cite data. So when you do not have data on these aspects, there's also it also becomes very anecdotal. So once you present your case in front of a government official, a senior or mid-level government official, they'll always cite policies and provisions where that issue is already being addressed. So instead of just having anecdotal evidence, we also have to push for MIS systems, the management information systems at the school level, to sort of include these as relevant data points so that policies can be improved.
Thank you so much, ma'am, on your perspectives on this. I would like to ask that providing a regular supply of sanitary pads is also considered as a menstrual infrastructure. And in your opinion, how do you think we can improve the channels of distribution and ensure availability and accessibility to all in every school? So, what do you all think about this?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
the providing of menstrual products is also considered as a menstrual infrastructure. So, in your opinion, how do you think you can improve the channels of distribution and accessibility to all the girls in every schools?
So can I take this one?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay. So we all know the public distribution system, right? The PDS. That is functioning. Wouldn't say anything is optimal here, but that functions, right? The products, the food grains, everything is distributed end to end to the consumer. So I have observed in my visits to the tribal villages in district Raigad only. So there are in the remotest villages. It's also a hilly region, like Tanuja mentioned. Palgar and Raigad are quite similar in their geography. So I have observed that in the most remotest of villages, there is access of pan, there is access to chips, big brand wale soft drinks, and all sorts of packaged food products. But there's no fruit or vegetable vendors, and there's no pad sellers or menstrual product sellers. So I think but in the rural regions especially, urban may we have a lot of channels through which distribution is high, but in rural and remote and tribal regions there are anganwadi centers in every village or every other village. There are sub centers in a group of villages. There are primary health centers. So I think for the government to actually distribute it, main would be for it to be on their agenda, for them to prioritize it, And then via these channels, via the PHCs, via the Anganwadi centers and the sub centers, these products could be reached to every single village and thus every beneficiary. With a proper MIS system, like Aparajita mentioned, I think it is very important to maintain the records and the data of how these kind of products are being distributed. So I think that can be done via this manner.
I think just like you mentioned that we have a lot of PDS system there, but then we also have Jan Aushadhi Center, Kendra, which is also distributing sanitary napkins. Yet it is not available in the remotest of the areas where where there are menstruators present, and yet this problem still persists. So I think a major, like, I personally feel that what could have been done, like if they wanted, like even if they set up one Janoshadi center in the most remotest of village, even near a school, that would have been more helpful to them, because uh, purchasing a sanitary napkin would help them actually, it would, I think I personally feel that it would actually reduce the dropout rate if they, open a Janaushadhi center near a school. So yeah, anybody else who would like to answer that or add on?
So yeah, I just wanted to add this point. Then for proper distribution of dispersal of sanitary napkins, we need to have proper supply. And supply is often a problem when these programs are backed by the government due to lack of funding, due to lack of manufacturing. That's a very difficult problem to solve. I mean, even I'm not qualified to answer what would take to actually solve this problem, because that's a Pandora's box. There are too many factors involved, right? So I think one possible intervention could be that, since now there's a lot of focus on entrepreneurship and supporting startups, we could also, provide support and funding to startups that promote innovation in the field of menstrual hygiene itself. So what that would do is sort of increase the availability of affordable and high quality sanitary products. So I'm not saying that that could be, the only thing that will solve this, but that could be one of the aspects that we can look at. Sort of complement the government's effort along with innovation in the private sector.
I totally agree with this fact. Talking about entrepreneurship, Bhumika ji, you are inspiring people every day with your work as a menstrual health educator and your initiative of My Cup of Change. So, what do you think is the best approach to teaching and spreading awareness to support this menstrual accessibility, while at the same time, dealing with the misconceptions that lead with it?
uh, what my learning in this process is just to create more and more examples, demonstrate them that this is the journey of this menstruator, this is the journey of this menstruator, and also uh, keep in touch with the with more and more people you are engaging with, right? If I have engaged today 50 people, then I have to stay in touch with them at least for 3 to 4 months, because the behavioral change when we talk about is just, it never comes in a day, or so for that you have to be patient enough and to have a constant conversation, uh, just in an innovative way. It is not just by disturbing them, it is basically engaging them throughout a longer period. uh, if we want them to have a sustainability for their hygiene practices, and even for the products which they are using, it is basically more, it is having engagement with them for a longer period. It's just not like you went one day, or you spoke so good things and just handed over some pad and or some other product and just coming back. It's just not that, though it also helps. But if you genuinely want a good amount of change, a sustainable change, then the engagement has to be for a longer period. It just should not be like of the short term focus. It's just to engage with them, tell them 10 points, and then just move out. Are they practicing it or not? Are they able to find any change? If they are actually adopt, if they even adopt one or two practices, are they able to, feel some change? Are they feel confident to talk about it with their family members or their friends, or whomsoever they can talk to about it? Is something which can bring larger change when we talk about the MHM hygiene practices.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very informative. My next question is for Ajanta ji. So you talked about specially able menstruators. So how can menstrual infrastructure be inclusive to their needs?
You're on mute, Ajanta ji.
I'm sorry. So, with respect to persons with disabilities, two categories are there. One, which is most commonly addressed, rightly so, is the locomotor disability. So, providing washrooms which are bigger, which can also accommodate their wheelchairs and their prosthesis, is very important with respect to locomotor disabilities. And coming to the other disabilities like a vision impairment or hearing impairment, we'll have to provide awareness which is in tandem with with their special needs, and that is very important. This is where the importance of tactile awareness creation based on models where they can feel and understand. That is something very important. Another level of disability which is commonly very ignored is the developmental or the intellectual disability, right? So when there are menstruators with Down syndrome, there are menstruators with Parkinson's disease. These are the things that are commonly ignored in the school infrastructure or anywhere else also. So creating awareness which are very friendly to grasp, like with more of visual aid, with simple languages, that is something very important. So creation of awareness is one aspect, and then creating an infrastructure that is friendly to them is another aspect. All these things needs to be catered with respect to persons with disabilities.
Thank you so much, Ajantaji. That is like a really fresh perspective that needs to be taken into consideration while coming up with menstrual infrastructure in future. I have one question for Tanuja ji. That she has worked as the project officer of Prison Reform Program, focusing on menstrual hygiene management for women prisoners. So, could you tell us what the infrastructure challenges have been faced by the women and girls in juvenile prisons?
Yeah, so actually, my work is mainly with with women above 18. So I do not like have much understanding of like juvenile girls, adolescent girls. But like whatever I my with my experience and my understanding, so the first problem is about prisons is overcrowding. So you can imagine like there is a infrastructure for a certain number of people, and there are people more than the capacity of the prison. So if such condition is there, then the you can like imagine like facilities available there. So there is not adequate number of bathrooms, toilets, water availability of water is also challenge over there. One more challenge is that availability of like adequate sanitary napkins. So and again in that also key that the prison departments, they provide sanitary napkins to menstruators, and they are mostly like sanitary napkins, but they are not like sustainable options. And also some of the prisons, they provide like number of like there are certain number of sanitary napkins per month they are provided to the prisons. So suppose somebody is menstruating, they are having heavy bleeding, then they choose another options. These options might not be hygienic options. So this is another challenge over there. Um, Disposal is again one of the challenge in the prisons. Uh, Again, like awareness or having knowledge about how to use these products and how to like say dispose with the safety safely. It is also a challenge over there. Along with like they are not having basic facilities. Like there are toilets, bathrooms, but then again privacy and like having a soap, dustbins, etc. These are also again challenges for the women prisons, and I think like similar challenges for the juvenile prisons also.
Thank you so much, Tanuja ji. That was really illuminating because, again, at the end of the day, irrespective of the fact, and they are menstruators, and they also need to keep in check their hygiene and sanitation, irrespective of where you are from, or what your background is. My final question is to Krutika ji. We all know that iron loss is more during menstruation, and we need, as women, we need to make up for it. So, as a practicing nutritionist, do you think that nutrition should also be included in menstrual infrastructure for females pertaining to schools? For example, if we talk about midday meal schemes, so do you think it should be included?
So definitely, I think I would never say no to this. So definitely, I feel to provide true empowerment, we have to think holistically in some way or the other, and ensure that these school going menstruators are having all round development, and not just we can't just focus on one aspect and say that these girls will be empowered. So without health, again, the same old problems will arise. School absenteeism would increase, dropout rates would increase, and then the cycle of no education and thus poverty would continue. So, definitely, I think nutrition should also be considered while designing the policies as well. They already have some policies. So, as you mentioned, we have the midday meal program, in which I think lot more dietary diversity should be incorporated. A lot of more components of food that are rich in iron should be incorporated, so that these school going girls are actually benefiting out of the provision that is already existing for them. And if iron rich foods are provided, then the losses can be mitigated. Apart from that, not just via food, but not just like simply giving the food, that does not help. A lot of behavior change communication on dietary measures should be done, because in today's day and age, all school going children are eating a lot of junk, a lot of foods that would not be very nutritionally high in quality. So, behavior change communication and IEC, again, awareness on anemia is also required, especially because we know every 1 in 2 women in India is anemic, and the same is with adolescent girls. So, the numbers are very high. So, to actually mitigate that, definitely we should incorporate this aspect. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you for your illuminating responses, ma'am. So before we move on to our next session, I would be great. It would be great if you all the panelists could give feedback about our session. So yes, I would request everyone to give some feedback about the session.
Yeah, I'll go
Uh,
first. So, oh, sorry, Bhumika. Were you also speaking?
no, you continue, please. I will say after you.
Sure, sure. So I think I'm very delighted that we brought forward a range of topics in this particular discussion. So it was not limited to one aspect of infrastructure either. We talked about diversity in terms of the policy. The policy space has to think about including persons with disability. We have to think about the diversity within the disability space as well. So I'm happy that we've talked about this range of topics, because all of these discussions and themes is what will make school infrastructure holistic and comprehensive. So yeah, that's my feedback.
um, as Aprajita said, that you have covered not only one topic or a specific thing, but yeah, included every aspect of the menstrual health of the menstruators, and also the inclusivity. So in the last panel I saw, there was a male participation, right? That was very encouraging. And yeah, and even when we talk about this panel discussion, the the insights are very, very good. And and really I have lot of takeaways from this session, that especially the Aprajita, when she was talking about the data, the collection of data which we are supposed to take. Then Krutika said inclusion of more food elements in the midday meal, which can directly help the health of these menstruators. And so yeah, so these are the thing. And then the Dr. Ajantha mentioned about the disability things. I know that there are some challenges. I have met some of them, but the kind of specification she drew today was really good, and that was very insightful. That how the policy should be around them as well. Yeah, this is my feedback for the session. Thank you.
So my feedback would be this. This was a great learning experience for me. I mean, I have done some work on the ground, but the insights that I got from the panelists will help me better implement the policies and better come up with better ideas with respect to the menstruators. So it's a great learning lesson, learning curve for me, rather, I would say.
Okay, so I'll go next. I am actually really humbled to be a part of this discussion. I am so glad that I got to see you all, and everyone's video was on amazing. And most importantly, I would really like to appreciate the work of Anjali and Abhiniti. You have been wonderful hosts, and I think the entire team at Sarkari School, We the Citizens Foundation, and your collab with Girl Up, it has been very fruitful. I feel that everything was super structured, organized very well, and my hope for this is that it benefits people. I know not a lot of people watch 1 hour long sessions, but I hope since it is on YouTube, they fast forward it and they speeden it up and get to hear all of these amazing things that all the panel members have spoken about today. As Aparajita and Bhumika mentioned, we this was not very limited to a singular discussion. It was very enlightening to uh, hear theories, knowledge, experiences from panelists from so many different life experiences and their work experiences. So I think it was really well organized, and I thank all of you to be here, that you're here today. Yeah, that's my feedback. Thank you.
Okay, so I am the remaining. So I am glad to be here to this panel, and I saw the Anjali and other team members working like rigorously and day and night. Like anytime you can message them, they reply you. So and selection of panelists also, like here we are all working on menstrual health and hygiene, but they are from diverse background, and they have covered all the aspects of, like, if infrastructure is it, but they have focused on all the aspects and inclusivity of all the matters. So yeah, I'm like really thankful to the team for giving me this opportunity to be here, and wonderful work. And such initiatives are important, as we know that there are very less like conversation around this topic, and like such initiatives are needed. So thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking your time out and joining with us today. It was really pleasure to have you all the panelists, and it was such a wonderful discussion and a wonderful experience talking to you all. So I would request you all to just wait for more 10 to 15 minutes because Sarkari School had recently organized an article writing competition. So we have received more than 40 plus articles, and a panel of judges has shortlisted the top 15 articles, best written articles. So to honor our wonderful writers' efforts, please extend a warm welcome to them while they take the platform to present their enriching and thought-provoking articles. We now welcome Gaduli Vyas from Sage University, Indore, to present her article.
Yeah, a very bright and joyful good afternoon to everyone. My name is Godhuli Vyas, and today I'll be presenting my topic, which is sustainable menstruation. As we all know, it's a very common phenomenon that we go across periods every year and every month. But one thing which is to be kept in mind is that necessity is the mother of invention, and if this invention uh, takes place of devastation, then it is very, very alarming situation. What problem is faced by the non-biodegradable pads which we use is that it contributes to the microplastics and which end up in the marine life and which destroy them a lot. So being a youth, it is a responsibility to work upon it and use and switch ourselves into biodegradable products, in menstrual products, which will be very helpful in upgrading the environment, and we'll be the sole bearers of that. So my article mainly focused on these aspects, and it provoked youth, women to contribute into this revolution of using biodegradable menstruation products. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaduli. That was very insightful. And now I would like to invite Namrata to present her article. She is from Jagran Lakeside University.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Samrata and I am from Jagran Lake City University. Means I already graduated. And my article, first of all, I would like to thank you to choose my article and allow me to express my opinions on menstrual leave in the workplace or in the school. Personally, I believe that menstrual leave and their pros and cons means it has means menstrual leave is necessary in workplace as well as it has to be done by the proper management because nowadays every industries allow women to as a means whether it is a tech industries marketing industries or the government every industries allow women to work in their work field and if any organizations allow a woman menstruation leave, the benefit is that they can they can work as a free mind because during this time women experience a lots of heavy bloods and tiredness and also most of the women nowadays due to the bad health means diet they have facing PCODs, which is uh, uh, which is the results of irregular periods. Also, if but the recently Supreme Court denied the menstruation leave as a means as the part of the constitutions. The reason is that they think that if an organizations allow women to 3 days leave so they means any organizations may feel hesitate to hire as a permanent employee in their organization, and somewhere I am agree with this point. So means I personally feel that any organizations, whether it is a government bodies or private industries, they allow women a uh, uh, flexible work arrangements so that whether a woman can do work and their jobs from from their own home or on locations and yeah, that's my point. Also, I would like to add point also, that I feel so when I work on this article, I feel so surprisingly there are still infrastructure facilities is the main issues in the rural areas mostly. Um Means according to international trade organizations, there are only 21% of factories allow women have only said 21% only have separate washrooms for themselves. So it is the very most highlighted points that the government, schools and organization has to be work on it. And lastly, I personally feel that key medical support and the positive environment during these times, it is very essential, because periods are unexpected. It comes any days, any times. It has no fixed date. So if a woman's have a supportive environment, they don't feel embarrassment during these days. So yeah, that's all my points.
Thank you so much, Namrata, for sharing your wonderful article with us. And this whole session was very fruitful and the discussion was wonderful. Now, I would request Shivani to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Abhiniti. I am delighted to express my gratitude and appreciation towards all the esteemed guests who have graced this conference with their wisdom and ideas. Thank you so much for joining us. And then it was a truly thought-provoking discussion, and it would not have been possible without you, our esteemed panelists. My heartfelt thanks to the organizing team and Sarkari School for their hard work towards towards this conference, making this conference a successful one. Last but not the least, I would like to thanks to all our audience and listeners who have actively participated in the in the conference and being with us the whole time. We really appreciate your participation. Once again, thank you everyone who has contributed toward making this event a success.
With this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you so much once again to all the panelists who joined and have done a discussion which is very fruitful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for
Thank you.
joining. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.